Hi, my name is Angie Rose, and I have a kind of unique situation. I have two children, and my question to you is this. Okay, so my husband works, and I stay home with the girls, but I'm more than qualified to go to work. And I love staying home with the girls, but I would also like to go to work. And I have faced many barriers, and it's been so difficult that I've given up looking for work because I've been so discouraged. And because there's a single income in the home, there are times that we face choosing between certain things, and I would just like to have a better life for my kids. And I want to know what you are going to do to make the employment market more accessible to people with disabilities.
Great, thank you. The question order this time will be Paul Lane, then Clyde Jackman, then Earl McCurry. So Paul, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And actually, I'm glad you did raise it because our province actually has the worst retention rate in the country for persons with disabilities in the workforce. And that's we have the stats from Stats Canada that show that. So obviously, we are certainly committing that the Liberal government will make it a priority to increase participation rate in the labour force for persons with disabilities. And, I think that has to be done internally in government, and it also has to be done externally by working with partners such as COD-NL and other agencies, working with employers in the province. Sometimes it's very easy for employers to come up with every excuse in the world why it can't work, but we know that in many cases there's only a very nominal cost to employers to actually make a workplace accessible and inclusive for persons with disabilities. So we have a ways to go in this province in changing that culture, changing that attitude. I think it needs to start within government itself. We've seen programs that the government have had in place that it all sounded good on paper, and there was some monies budgeted, but the jobs that were there were basically short-term jobs just for a few weeks. They only lasted for a few weeks and then they ended, and there was no opportunity for that person to stay on in the public service. So I think government should lead by example, and once they've done that, then we also need to move forward in working with partnerships with private industry as well.
Great, thank you. Next is Clyde Jackman.
Yeah, one of the things that I don't know if I disagree with Paul, but I'll take exception to, I think government has been lead. When I look at the Confederation building, the number of people that I think that have been employed, I think government has taken lead. Can we do a bit more? Yes, we definitely can do more. One of the things that I was involved in this year, and I'm glad to see that the community is doing it again, is they hosted a conference here. And I can't remember the man's name, but I know he was a worker at Walgreens. And he was a keynote speaker from the United States who talked about how he as a company had employed a number of people. And I think the audience that were there were just enthralled with him. And I'm not mistaken, I believe he's coming back again this year. And one of the things that we talked about was encouraging the business community to get out here. Like, they've got to be the lead. I was just thinking about this evening, when Target closed here, the news story wasn't so much about Target closing as it was the number of people with disabilities who were losing their jobs. That was the news story. So that tells you that what we've got to do is we've got to engage that larger community. I think the other thing, we're going to be announcing a marketing media campaign tomorrow. And that's specifically aimed at the media to, in their role, they can do major things in promoting on behalf of on behalf of the community with persons with disabilities. So we'll be supporting them, and it's all about attacking the attitude. So government continue to expand on what they can do, working with that larger community, and then working on changing the attitude.
Thank you, Minister Jackman. Next is Earl McCurry.
Well, I think that both the private sector and the public sector have a role to play here. Yes, there has been some work done at the provincial government level. I hate to say it, but the office complex that I work in, or this little suite of offices, is not accessible. Should be. I think far too many of the positions for people with disabilities are, as I mentioned earlier, entry-level jobs, and there are people very qualified to go well beyond entry-level jobs, and that opportunity is not there. I think I prefer incentives to rules and regulations, and maybe the carrot to the stick, if you like. And I think that too often there are disincentives to people to work. On the point of childcare, that's a problem shared with the entire community. In my door-to-door canvassing over the past few weeks, I've encountered quite a number of people who told me that they, mostly single parents, included both men and women, who told me they had to quit their job because childcare was costing more than what they were taking home from employment. Yep. And for the people with disabilities, or for anyone else for that matter in the population, we have to have a comprehensive child care strategy to allow them to get to work. And that's really all part and parcel of planning beyond the next few weeks or months or even years. That goes beyond an election cycle. We have an aging workforce. In a few years' time, we are not going to have enough workers in this province to meet the needs of the economy. And the time to start addressing that is now, not to wait until we haven't got enough people to do the work that needs to be done. And people in this room and the people and others you represent are people who have potential to do more in our economy if the opportunities were made available. So I think we need to look at it from that point of view. Our aging population should be something that drives virtually every decision we make, and we should be planning ahead for that.
Great, thank you.